So when I was a kid, like most kids my age, my absolute dream car would have been a Bugatti Veyron. That car was talked about so highly in the time, and I think almost every person that I knew, whether they were into cars or not, in my grade when I was growing up, would just knew that the Veyron was something unbelievable and something so special to behold. As an adult, I've always thought, what can I possibly do to even just sit in a Veyron, ride in a Veyron, drive a Veyron, anything like that. And obviously the Chiron came out, which to a lot of people's eyes is just a better Veyron. So, there's something I always had in the back of my mind, but I kind of dismissed as something that is never really going to happen. But I was scrolling through Instagram one day, and one of the YouTube channels that I frequently watch, the Hamilton Collection, I saw they had posted on their Instagram story that they were doing short-term rentals. Now, at the time, I was only like 22, and they had their Bugatti Veyron, and I went to go rent that for the day, but they declined the rental because I was not old enough. And I kind of figured, that was the one shot I was going to have at it. They ended up selling that car pretty shortly after that, and there was nothing I could do. As much as I was a little disappointed in that, I kind of figured who would ever let me drive a Bugatti anyway? It was just such a far-fetched idea. But sure enough, about a year later, they decided they're going to do rentals on their recently acquired Bugatti Chiron SS. Now, they had ordered that car from the factory. They just had it for a few months, so it was, pretty new still. And once again, same situation. I'm scrolling through Instagram, and I see they have rental slots for a Chiron. And I'm like, I know I wasn't old enough last time, but I'm a year older now. Maybe they've changed the requirements. And sure enough, they did. They had dropped down the age minimum from 25 to 23. And I had just turned 23. I was actually just turning 23. I wasn't even 23 yet when I booked the rental. And I thought, for $750, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. It might be a crazy amount to rent a car for. But, when you consider the fact that MSRP is over $4 million, $750 is a very, very, very small fraction of that. So I was able to do that, and I kind of didn't believe that I was going to be able to drive that car until the day actually came because, it just seemed so implausible. But sure enough, I pull up to the Hamilton Collections. They have a garage and a motor condo facility. Absolutely massive. Obviously a bunch of their cars were there. And it was pretty surreal just to walk into that garage and see all these cars that you watch on YouTube all the time. So I'm hanging out in there, and I met one of their staff members, Henry. He showed me around the collection a little bit. He had to get some of the paperwork filled out to allow me to drive the Chiron. It took a minute to take it all in because I'd never even seen a Chiron SS before, and it's kind of a different animal when you just walk up to it knowing you're about to get behind the wheel. So I had to sign some paperwork, did not read it because I did not want that in the back of my head of how liable am I to crash this $4 million Bugatti. Which is probably a horrible idea, but I didn't crash it, so it was all good. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever driven. I mean, I don't know how it couldn't be with the provenance that car has, but the thing that just blew my mind about the Chiron experience was the fact that car is simultaneously so comfortable, but also stupid fast. I've been in a lot of cars that were fast and a lot of cars that were comfortable. I've never seen one that does it both so quickly, and even the other fast cars that I had experienced up to that point, it seemed like you couldn't touch it with that car. And obviously, in the day where EVs do 0 to 60 in stupid amount of times, it's not as unique, but there's not a car that makes the noise that the Chiron makes and gives you that just, 45 to onward power. That was pretty insane. Now, driving that car on the public street was interesting because the value just can't escape your mind. But once you're behind the wheel, it's shockingly composed. It doesn't actually seem like it's that expensive of a car because it's just so easy to drive. There's nothing that makes you think, man, this car is, really, really crazy. If it wasn't for the bright orange interior, it almost feels like just driving any other luxury coupe, luxury sports car. I mean, and it really was shocking to me how much I didn't think about that when I was behind the wheel of it. I ended up doing about 19 miles in Steve Chiron, which, once again, for $750 might not sound like a lot, but I think there's some Chiron owners that haven't put 19 miles on in their ownership, especially when you see these things come up for sale with delivery mileage on them. And I think that is just the most crazy thing because if I had a car like that, I couldn't imagine ever wanting to drive anything else. And it really was one of those things that it's a tough thing to live with as a car enthusiast because now that you've experienced the best, some things just don't feel quite as cool anymore. I still remember the day after I drove that car, I took my first generation Viper to Cars and Coffee, and the thing felt unbelievably slow. That car never felt as slow as the day after I drove the Chiron. But at the same time, I'm extremely thankful for the opportunity to do so. And I think that was probably the coolest car I'm ever going to rent. So what was interesting about the rentals is that they were actually blocking these out per day. So they would do a handful of the cars every single day that they were open, which is probably about once a week from what I remember looking at it. The day that I rented the Chiron, they actually told me I was the 5th person to drive that specific car that day, which I thought was kind of nuts because that's 100 miles on the Chiron a day from people that he doesn't even know. driving this car, which was kind of nuts. And it was pretty crazy too, because I was the last person to do it for the day. And as we were heading back to the place, the guy said, I know it's usually supposed to be half an hour, but this thing needs gas and I'm not going to hold it against you. So why don't we stop at this gas station right here? And, of all the times that it hit me that this is what I was doing today, it was when I was out of the car watching the thing get pumped up with gas, because it, kind of sits in the back of your head like this car is probably worth more than the gas station that we're parked at. And that was the moment where I wasn't necessarily responsible for crashing the thing, keeping the thing on the road. And so looking at it there, just parked, and I just parked it there. Kind of, that's actually when it hit me the most that this was something really special. I knew it was kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity.
This month of VINwiki content is brought to you by Bridgestone, and the most exciting tire from Bridgestone right now is the brand new RE71RZ. That's their extreme max performance summer tire that is championing pole position. It's built for the grassroots motorsports crowd and offers much better on-track wear patterns than we saw out of the amazing RE71RS that it is now replacing. It uses Bridgestone's enlightened technology to deliver long-lasting performance and much more responsive control. And the RE71RZ is now available across North America in 45 sizes since December 31st of last year. This new tire meets all requirements for SCCA racing and will be eligible for competition use in 2026 for solo and time trials. This new tire is 0.74 seconds faster on a dry lap and 0.75 of a second faster in a wet lap compared to the outgoing RE71RS. This really is an amazing new sports car and supercar tire from Bridgestone, so check it out now, along with everything else that we love about Bridgestone, at the link in the description below.